where Rampage is, the easiest way to put it is, I'm sure glad I'm not a judge there anymore.
Okay. And all I can remember was Rob Warner yelling, no, 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 as soon as he took off.
He couldn't have done it better. The first time he landed a half foot down from the knuckle.
That's perfect.
It was incredible. He was riding amazingly. Like his background coming from racing and then transitioning the slope style and then now bringing it back to free ride. Like his skill set is undeniable.
Okay, correct me one more time. Geoff or Geoff?
With my name?
Yeah.
It's just Geoff.
Geoff, okay. Okay, Geoff. Okay. And Gulevich is correct.
Whatever you want.
It is like I have no memory for that. Okay, 3, 2, 1, go. What's up, everybody? Welcome back for a new episode. Today, my guest, you've seen him before, but he's back, Geoff Gulevich. So we've done an episode together. We talked about your career. But today, we're going to do something different. We are going to be talking about Men's Rampage 2025. If you missed it, I've done an episode with Claire Bouchard that just dropped on the channel as well as on Spotify, where we mostly look at Women's Rampage 2025. Geoff knows really well both men and women because you've been involved with both events. We're going to chat a little bit about the women and then our main focus will be on the men's. So thanks for coming.
Thanks for having me. Let's get into it.
So you're going to be a great guest to talk about Rampage because yourself, you've competed at Rampage many times. How many times?
Competed 5 times, judged twice, been the judge's analyst 3 times now. So I've been to 10.
Okay. I think your last time competing was 2014, which was...
I can't remember.
It was 2014 because then in 2015, I rode part of your line.
I broke my shoulder blade.
Okay.
And couldn't go.
And so your last time competing was actually on the same venue than where the women competed this year.
That's right.
So even though we're just going to focus on the men's, what can you tell us about the women's show?
It was incredible. It was a couple injuries going into the Red Bull Rampage final day, but overall during the actual event, the women were absolutely crushing it. Everybody got 2 runs. It was phenomenal to watch. 2 complete runs from all contestants. I don't know if I've ever seen that before. So
can't remember.
Yeah, exactly. It was an excellent event. It honestly could not have gone any better.
Do you have any, every line was insane. Without talking about the actual riding, what was your favorite line?
I would have loved to have seen Chelsea complete her line. Unfortunately, she had a good head rattle the day before finals and she made the wise decision not to compete. From all the notes I got, she just wasn't all there and feeling 100%. And it was a heartbreaking decision for her to back out, but you need to respect wisdom. And she's certainly earned through experience to know when she cannot give 100%. And there's a lot of admiration there that a lot of people are unfamiliar with. And I would give her a winning score for having done her line completely in practice, taking that crash and being able to step down, knowing that she won't have a result this year, but she will certainly be invited back next year.
Yeah. The sad part is that she rode every feature of her line prior, and she ended up falling in, and I kind of feel guilty because it was the last step down that she had to clear. She had done everything. She had done the battleship. She had done the El Presidente drop. So she'd done, to me, what was by far the hardest section of her line. And she was concerned about that step down in the middle of the line, like little step down, which was obviously big, but smaller than her 2 other main features. And I kind of gave her feedback on what I thought was speed, and she ended up doing it perfectly. But right before that step down, she had a little gap that she could either roll and still get enough speed for a step down, or jump, but then she would have to put more brake. And when she crashed, she actually did the in-between and she cased that little roller. And it's really a bummer because that feature by itself was just a connection in her line. And that's often what happens.
Yeah.
So focused on the big drops, the big step down, that's those little in-between are where you lose focus. And but anyway, she made, as you say, the right decision. She broke her helmet during that crash, and Specialized called me because I have the same helmet as she does, and I was the only one around to have a size small Specialized Dissident helmet. And they asked me if I would consider giving her my helmet, which obviously I had no problem doing so, unless she wasn't feeling 100%. So I'll give you the helmet, but please only ride if you feel 100%. And I'm glad she didn't because she wasn't 100%. So anyway, another highlight from the women's events, another line that you thought was...
Cami Nagata.
Yeah.
Her line was incredible. Rode it pretty darn well the first run. Second run, absolutely nailed it. I believe her first run still held up for her, though. It was just a little more fluid and had great confidence going into it. But those are two standout lines for me. Everybody rode incredibly, though. Like Hannah Bergman was on fire. Kirsten Van Horn.
Super tight.
Yeah, everybody was unbelievable this year. It was such a good show. Janelle was killing it. I mean, everybody that showed up. So
I really liked everyone's run. Like it was really hard to pick up like a favorite. Definitely, I agree with you. Chelsea's line was iconic. Like there was two insane moves on it that, you know, someone on TV that hasn't been to Rampage will look at it and be like, wow, this is gnarly. But then you go there in person and it's unbelievable. Like the El Presidente drop is huge, but it's completely blind. And the speed, like they were pedaling into it.
Yeah.
Georgia, Cami, and Chelsea, both of them were trying to carry as much speed as possible, which is, yeah, it was quite the show. And on the other side, lines like Vinny, for example, like smaller jumps, but like more technical.
Very fluid, very fun. Everyone crushed it, man.
Yeah, that was cool to watch.
All the girls that came down the B line, which is actually Brandon's line. They just altered it a little bit, and so it got the name B line. It's not to be associated with the Whistler Bike Trail.
Yeah.
But everybody was absolutely crushing it, and it was a shame to see Casey crash on the Princess Killer. Yeah, that would have been absolutely insane if they'd conquered that, but it holds up to its name. It took down Nico Vink and Casey, so maybe it's just a line that's not meant to be ridden.
Yeah.
You never know.
So anyway, if you're curious about the women's event, I've done a full video looking at every line, plus the podcast with Claire where we detail every single run, look at every single feature, so make sure you go check it out. You mentioned that in the past you judged Rampage twice.
I did.
How was that?
It's challenging.
What's challenging about it?
Well, just the diversity in the lines. Every line is completely different, and to get 5 judges on the same train of thinking equally, it's nearly impossible, and that is the beauty and the curse of judge sports. So I judged 17 and 18, I believe, and I still judge slopestyle, and I find that very straightforward. It's the same line, and you're judging it trick for trick. You can break down runs much more simply and figure it out with the conversation in the booth, where Rampage is... The easiest way to put it is I'm sure glad I'm not a judge there anymore.
Okay. How is it to deal with the aftermath of people complaining about the judging.
Oh, I just didn't deal with it.
You didn't deal with it?
No, I didn't address anybody that wrote me.
Okay.
I was just like, take it or leave it.
I think the one thing I would say is like, regardless what people think of the judging, you can't have a valid opinion unless you've looked at every single line.
Yeah.
Like you need to walk the line, but also you need to have ridden similar terrain, similar dirt to truly understand what's incredibly hard versus what's okay. You know, what's big and risky, but technically okay. And there is a lot that, you know, someone like yourself will have with the experience of riding there and you know, watching the event for years, that if you're on TV, realistically, you've got no idea.
Yeah. No, and people are going to disagree and have their own opinions, and that's the beauty of it.
That's
You're more than welcome to. But I think the wise thing is to not entertain the people that are trying to just smack talk, give their opinions. Like, you can have them. That's great. I personally didn't want to deal with it. And
that's fair.
Yeah, if you dive into it, you're just opening a whole can of worms, and who's got time for that?
Okay, let's talk about the riders now. So we're gonna start with a new rider for this year, Aiden Parish. Unfortunately, didn't make it to the event because he sustained off an injury during practice. I filmed his massive step down. I was right next to the takeoff when he guinea pigged it. And that was insane. Like, so hard to judge the speed. Like, obviously it's massive. I think tip to tip was something like 73 feet.
I believe like, they said 69.
It sounds about accurate. But so, he had like a long run-in where he had to drag brakes the entire time. And then basically a kicker.
Well, it was a step down into that runway too.
Yes, you had the step down, so land on the brakes, and then you have to decide when you let go the brakes, how much pop you give. And when you're on the kicker, and this you don't see it on TV, all you see is a knuckle. You don't actually see the landing because it's very steep. So therefore, that makes it extremely easy to overshoot or come short. First attempt, he went way too big, but somehow hold on to the bike.
He's an animal.
I couldn't be... I saw him pass the landing, and I thought that even if he's strong enough to take the impact, like his bike might fail. Which is, you know, bikes these days are really strong, but they're not meant to be jumped from basically 5 stories to flat, because that's basically what he did. So it have been 4 stories.
He hit some landing.
Yeah, but, you know, pretty flat. That was incredible. Then he did it again, perfect. And I think on his 3rd or 4th attempt, he actually was there.
3rd was good too. 4th was his case.
Yeah, so he came short.
And then got chucked more or less to flat bottom. And that's the worst part. If you go deep and crash, it is one impact, but you're not necessarily going to be as bounced as bad. On the size of those drops, like if you case at the top, you're taking that initial compression and then you're following without a bike the next distance of the landing more or less, and you're going to land in the compression zone at the bottom because the landings are so steep. So it is basically the worst way to go down there, and we've seen it time and time again. Like initial impact, and then you get chucked to the bottom for a second one, and it's just insult to injury, and it's wild, man. The evolution's been pretty insane.
Yeah, but he was riding really well in practice. I saw him on the bottom 2 jumps. He had a drop. He flipped the drop, and then he was just warming up with some Superman and stuff on his kind of like dirt jump at the bottom. Right there all the time, seemed very confident. I was looking forward to see what he was gonna do. I think he had the shoot of Zink and Adolf at the very start. So he had a good mix with, you know, something like really free ride, huge step down, and some tricks at the bottom. So that'll be for next year. Another rider that is new to the lineup, Finley Kershman, if I got it correct. So what do you think?
Well, Aiden and Finley they live in that area. They're extremely familiar with the terrain. All they've done growing up is watching Rampage and perfecting that style of riding, which is very unique. And those two are bred into this pedigree of incredible riding. So he is, for a lack of a better term, a swag lord. He's riding in slip-on vans. Just insane style control.
Barefoot also during digging. I've seen him barefoot.
Oh yeah, no, a lot of people were digging barefoot this year.
Yeah,
I think people enlisted diggers from that area to work for them, and it's pretty funny. It's like watching a hippie village getting built at the same time on the mountain there.
Yeah, his line was, at a bit of everything, but I was surprised. Well, I guess not surprised because I'd seen his run at natural selection, obviously very confident on the bike, but the size of those drops and just how casual they go of, doing 360s and flips. His 360 drop, which is the one that Semenok tail whipped when he won the last time at this venue. So I believe 2021.
Right.
It's big.
Oh yeah.
And you come in doing a corner.
Yeah.
And didn't seem like it slowed down.
The Mohawk drop. Everybody was crushing that thing.
Yeah, no, it did incredible. How much extra points judges give when the running is technical?
That would be their judges area.
Because it's, there's a difference between you coming perfectly straight and you're able to set up. This, you don't see it on TV, but you land a significant step up gap double prior. You've got to control your speed, and then you have to make a corner and jump something that's completely blind, and in addition do a trick. That was insane.
Yeah, absolutely.
Another new rider for this year. A lot of people were really excited about him, especially myself because I know him personally. But Thomas Lemoine, I think like one of the last appearances done in a contest was when he gapped the entire thing at Joyride.
That's right.
And that was, I think I was in memory of Timo Pritzel, if I'm correct, that on it, or
there's been a few featured jumpers, but Timo is probably the most famous for doing it over the years.
Yeah, and so I feel like me knowing Thomas, I was really confident in like his ability to ride that type of terrain because I've seen him ride on a bike, and even though most of his career has been on a slopestyle bike, doing tricks and at the BMX track, he's actually insanely talented. With his braking, I've seen him at a urban downhill race where you would not think he's a slopestyle kid. Like super, super confident on his downhill bike, really good at braking, really good at like generating speed.
Yeah.
And his line, I think, really surprised everybody because it was probably one of the most free-ride line out there.
For sure.
And I thought it was really, really cool choice for him.
It was unreal. The Stratos drop up top was massive.
Did you get to see it from the top?
Oh, yeah.
Because I didn't get to go there because you actually need a rope to go on the takeoff. So I was able to go as far as you can go without a rope.
Right.
But I wasn't able to truly appreciate it because I would have had to basically rappel down a cliff to stand and see it. But it looked epic. That was the talk of Rampage.
Oh, yeah. Not small.
Yeah. Everybody were talking about it, and when he first attempted it, it was...
He couldn't have done it better. The first time he landed a half foot down from the knuckle.
That's perfect.
It was incredible. He was riding amazingly. Like his background coming from racing and then transitioning the slope style and then now bringing it back to free ride, like his skill set is undeniable. He's a joy to watch on a bike.
So like little thing about his line. So at the start, he starts off with like a super cool double drop, like pretty raw. And this like looked like a really cool section. Then bunch of exposure and steeps before he gets a Stratos drop. After the Stratos drop, he kind of crosses over the mountain a little bit and he had a step down that looked like nothing on TV. But I was there when he was doing his running. And the consequences, the jump itself was big. But if it was a table in a bike park with no exposure, it felt like the speed, it felt like it's a jump that works well.
Mm-hmm.
But if you were to come slightly short or slightly long, it will be a disaster.
Yeah.
Like the knuckle will catapult you over the bar, and as you mentioned, you'll crash, not even in the compression, you'll crash actually on the uphill behind.
Yeah.
And if you did overshoot and hang on the bike but lost control, you could very well fly off a cliff.
Yeah. Right side cliff, left side wall.
And he did it so perfect. He made it look like there is nothing. And I think that's one of some of those riders at Rampage make it look like so easy that people watch on TV and think it's slopestyle. But this line in particular was, to me, was one of the most impressive part of his entire line, was that like step down, which is probably one of the smallest feature in his line. Like the drop after was huge, the Stratos was massive, finish line jump was big, but this was like incredibly risky.
Yeah, there's a sniper move.
And the fact that he did the condor on it, absolutely perfect.
The condor.
Yeah. How do you call that? Tuck no under?
Normally, it can be referred to as
condor is in BMX, right?
I've never heard it in the field.
Actually, so tuck no under. The first time I heard this word was in North America, but in Europe, I've always heard it as condor.
That's hilarious.
Yeah.
Look at our cultures just meeting.
Yeah. So another thing. So what he did, there is like 5 or 6 rollers that he manualed absolutely perfectly in his final run too. Like there's a difference between doing that when you're riding with your friends, but when you got the adrenaline of doing what he did right before,
yeah,
it was unreal.
Well, and then you saw like Luke tried as well and couldn't even come close to do as well as Le Moyne.
Yeah.
So.
But Le Moyne, like I've seen him because we are from the same place in France pretty much. He used to go to the BMX track where Steenbergen parents, which are really close friends with Thomas, like live and on that track. Like Thomas Le Moyne would just manual everything. So it was like a good, a good reminder of his past as a BMX rider, because this was like what he did like his entire like youth, just like rear wheel manuals on rollers. He was first for a while, but got bumped down to 4th place.
Who's that, sorry?
So Thomas was leading for a bit. I think he was like 3rd to drop in or something like this. Did a run that he was stuck on, and he led for a while, then got bumped down to 4th place. Mm-hmm. Do you have any thought on that?
Not a judge.
Perfect. We'll skip it. Honestly, looking at all the results and hiking all the lines, like it will be incredibly hard to have to place riders. Like I would not want to do it.
Totally. I think the weakest part of Thomas Le Moyne's run was his entrance.
Yeah.
The very top. And like that may have been what the judges did not score him for. I don't think they deducted anything, but when you look at all the entrance options in a comparison where majority of the field went, that may have been the separating factor there. And that's all I'm going to touch on that.
Yeah, and that's true. Like, because his entrance, he had to, out of the gate, he had to do 20 meters on the flat, make like an awkward corner, and then he was actually starting his line. Whereas other rider will start like right off the gate with, a double drop or like some type of insane line. And Thomas had just like 5-10 seconds that like definitely would have killed a little bit the flow. At the same time, it would have been hard for him. I mean, he could have ridden either Aiden's line or Reed's line, but obviously you can't. Everybody can be on the same line. You need to have some creativity, and that's what he did. And I thought his line was really cool, but he definitely would have lost a little bit of, I guess, flow score, just because of that. But another rider, not necessarily similar to, kind of similar to Thomas in a way, probably because he's got the same name, but Thomas Genon. Thomas Genon, what did you think of his 360 drop at the start?
It's crazy, man. We saw what happened to Emil. We saw it take Tommy G 2 tries to to make the run out work for that trick. Yeah, that was a massive separating move. I don't think anybody thought that drop would be actually tricked.
Yeah.
The risk is just so high. And the fact that he pulled it off,
Not
Simon
once, but
pulled it
twice.
off. Exactly. And then Emil dealt with his tail whip. Yeah, I think that was a huge separating part of his run there. And if Godcheck had put his run together, it may have been his year.
Yeah, I thought so. To stay on Thomas Genon, like I thought his line was incredible.
For sure.
Like I was doing that video, like hiking up, looking at the line, and when I get to the top, it's Thomas' team, which was Benny and Paul Couder, building what looked like a takeoff, and I was like, "Oh, what's happening here?" Because I've ridden this line like in 16 and 17. That was the same start. At the time, no one was building a takeoff, and their reasoning was like, "Well, Tom van Steenbergen built a little platform to do his caveman, so therefore we have to go around it, and we can go around on the right-hand side, but we thought we might as well build a takeoff." And then the small takeoff turned into weird that Szymon Godziak is going to do a 360 or a flip of it, so now we have to make it possible for Thomas to also do a trick. And so what was supposed to be just a little addition turned into like fully, in my opinion, the biggest move of Rampage.
Riskiest, for sure.
Riskiest, yeah. And I asked Thomas, is this true that you plan on doing a 360? And his answer was like, well, I don't really want to, but I've got no choice if Emil and Simon are gonna also do it. And also he was the first one to do it because in order, Simon was dropping after. So when Thomas did his first 360, like no one had tricked that jump yet.
Yeah.
And that, to me, that was insane. After that, he had like a double drop, a bunch of like really cool step downs. And same on TV, you see step down, you're like, okay, it's huge. But what you don't see, he flipped the first one, and then he has to land on the brakes and like judge the speed just right for a step down that probably didn't look that huge on TV, but in person was absolutely massive.
Yeah.
And he was able to, jump it perfectly and then onto his finish.
And they had to catch that corner after it too.
As well, yeah.
Those two hits are connected. You can't start on the takeoff of one to do the next. It's all, you're carrying the momentum and line off of it. Where a lot of the guys are turning right to go to the Mohawk feature. Tommy G was going left, straight into the belly of the beast.
Definitely one of my favorite runs.
It was sweet.
If not my favorite run. Like the fact that he pulled off the 360 on top and then kept going and like trick every single thing like perfectly. It was phenomenal.
It was.
Other rider, Cam Zink, so probably more experience than anyone else out there. What do you think of his run?
Zink always crushes it. I always say this, you can never count him out. As long as he is still able to get on his bike, he has a chance of winning. And it was unfortunate they blew up his second run because he truly did put all the pieces together up high, and it was much more clean than the first run. He overshot that second last feature flip drop.
Yeah.
And
he did a flip knack too, right?
Of what, sorry?
He did a flip knack.
That's right. And then I don't know, he second guessed his speed on the last jump and decided just to Superman sea grab it, and it just got away from him.
Yeah.
And it seems to be a curse of his. The last jump on his run seems to kick back sometimes. And it's when he puts it together though, it's always something to watch to hop onto the steps.
Because I really liked his run. The start was, that insane shoot. So basically straight down the mountain. I think Pierre-Edouard Ferry, Carl Strait and himself opened that in 17.
Pef did it first, actually.
Yeah, Pef did it.
Yeah.
But they built it together that year.
Right.
And the three of them were riding it. I think that was in 16 or 17. I think it was 17.
Can't remember. Everybody
Anyway.
seems to remember these years better than I do.
So anyway, he had this. And after that, he had a succession of jumps. So like that big like canyon gap, step down into the chute. And then when I filmed that video looking at the line, he was really worried about, he had that freeride chute with a few corners and then he had a step down. And same, once again, you don't see that on TV.
Mhm.
His step down itself was fairly medium for Rampage standards, but the landing was insanely steep and you had a huge compression to a canyon gap,
Yeah.
which meant that if you overshot it or cased it, you'd essentially fall into the canyon.
Correct.
And as you mentioned, you go from something extremely steep to something that's basically uphill.
Mhm.
So the forces that your body will take if you were to crash were like...
And the first time he guineaed it too, like he literally just flipped this step down perfectly into this canyon gap. And the canyon gap doesn't even register to people. And that's a big jump on its own.
Yeah.
And then right into spinning his biggest drop of the line.
Yeah.
Like, come on.
His first run, is 360 and slipped a pedal at the landing.
That's right.
And that was a bummer because he landed, what looked really clean and just slipped a pedal. And fortunately was able to, ride out of it and kind of finish the line.
Mm-hmm.
But obviously that hurt his score enough that he had to drop again and do a second run. And as you mentioned, second run was, pretty much perfect. And for him, doing a Superman seat grab is like, for most people, doing a one-ender. It's something that you normally don't mess up. And, he just made a slight mistake, even though he's done thousands of those. And
I mean, the wind had begun to pick up, and that may have been a factor in that particular trick. But yeah, it was so close, man.
I know that was
such a drag.
That was a bummer.
Uh-huh.
Two other riders, they didn't get scored super well, but I thought they had like amazing lines. Tom Isted, so not the same start as Zink. He was doing a drop at the start and kind of like crossing around the mountain and getting back into the chute.
Yeah.
Which I assume would have hurted his score a little bit because he had to go around. But he managed to do it a way that was like really fast and flowy.
Yeah.
I thought his D crew like did an amazing job making that kind of like awkward like corner actually like fast. And he rode with a ton of speed. His features were really they were almost like creative. He had this like 90-degree like corner shark fin step down, whatever you call it, and he
cork flipped it.
Cork flipped it, yeah.
Yeah, no,
flat spin.
Yeah, his run was incredible. And like watching it live, I was just like, holy smokes, that could be near the top. And then the notes I got from the judges were more or less that traverse back into the chute line, and it's just like, I understand. But overall, he impressed me on that terrain again.
Yeah, because him crossing back onto the chute, it might not look as cool on TV because, you lose a bit of time. But if you think about it, it's probably even harder than the actual chute. The actual chute, you go completely straight and you're on your brakes, where him, he has to manage like a first double drop, braking, then a corner, and then he comes into the chute not as high, but he's cornering into it. So you're almost more likely to make mistakes doing what he did than if you go straight down, but obviously it doesn't look as impressive.
Yeah, you could say they're unnecessary mistakes as well.
Yeah.
Like he could have gone down the belly there instead of having that cutback line. But yeah, gonna resort back to my equivalent of pleading the fifth, and I'm glad I'm not a judge.
But his riding was incredible. Like his, 720 or whatever was a cash roll, yeah, at the bottom, just landing that on your run after doing, a minute and 15 of basically like cliff jumping on a bicycle. Yeah, I think it was great. It was really creative. His cork out of the step down, there was so much that could go wrong, especially since, you do a trick. You could land and go slightly offline and shoot off the berm and land into a canyon. Like,
yeah, that is variable, but like these guys are so dialed in their tricks, and like Tom coming from the slope world as well, like he built that jump to his style.
Of
and
course.
like in his mind, failure there was not an option. However, if he did, left was death, right was trouble. So
Yeah.
I'm really glad that he was confident and able to pull that off. And he did that like early in practice as well.
Yeah. I remember seeing that move that I think it was 2020, well, I guess last year.
Mhm.
Last year was his first Rampage, so 2024. He had a step down towards the bottom of his line where he did that similar like
That's right.
cork. And then unfortunately, I think that was during his first run, wasn't able to carry enough speed for the road gap after. But I thought it was like one of the coolest moves. Like just the style in the air was awesome.
Dude looks good on a bike.
Yeah. Before we keep on riding, let me introduce you the partner of this video, Jenson USA. Jenson has been a huge part of the success of this YouTube channel, and they are an online retailer. They basically sell every product I'm using, from my Maxxis tires, my airgun grips, one-up bars, even DVO suspension or Hayes brakes. You can also find my Topic tools, my specialized helmets, and my used-way backpacks. If you want to find those products, simply check out the links down below, and when you purchase using those links on Jenson, that support my channel. So thanks so much for that. Now let's go back to riding. Other riders that didn't score super well, rides for propane, Carson. He's always doing really well at Rampage.
Mm-hmm.
And this year he had, according to him, and in my opinion, probably one of the best runs he's ever landed. But I think he got before last of the people who completed their run. Even though he had, huge 360 drop, huge backflips, ton of variety. I thought his line was really cool. He also fully changed the line compared to the previous years because he used to go riders left and now he went riders right. So it was something new. He was sharing with Tom a bunch of the drops toward the bottom. I thought his riding was incredible. Like, what do you think he was missing?
I think the biggest downside of that was sharing the line with Tom Van Steenbergen when he caveman off the first one, and Carson did the downhill, smaller version of the drop.
Yeah.
And I think this is just my opinion, but that was probably the biggest separator there.
Yeah, because judges will compare riders and they'll compare lines, right? So if you do something very similar to someone else,
mm-hmm.
you miss a couple of tricks or you go a bit slower, then therefore your score is going to be heavily impacted.
The run was pretty similar overall. And that entrance move that we've talked about scored Tommy G so high. Godcheck was scored higher, Emil as well. You got to lean into that thought process that the judges were scoring that initial drop extremely high and doing a caveman where you're holding a handlebar and the saddle and then you're jumping and releasing. So you have only one point of contact on your bike. Got to find your bar, got to find your pedals, stick that landing with the extreme exposure on both sides, and then you're into your run.
Yeah.
So, just my opinion.
And, okay, another rider, I thought he really stepped it up this year compared to previous years. I mean, he's always been an incredible rider, but I felt like at Rampage, he was always like downplaying a little bit his skills. Jackson Riddle. I felt like in the past, he would not show that much tricks or like flip step down, even though I knew that I've seen him doing front flip drops, for example, and, big flip step down. And at Rampage in his previous appearances, he didn't necessarily show that. Always looked like really good on the bike, showed like ton of style and like really fun lines. But this year I felt like he was on it. Like his confidence on the bike was, and early on in practice. What did you think of his run?
I thought this is the first year that he really stepped up and showed his confidence out there. Like he always looks good in practice. I feel like he always used to win practice. And then when it came to game day, just the pieces didn't come together. But this year was phenomenal. Like that big flip heel clicker was so beautiful, so cool. And yeah, a lot of fluidity in his run, good pace.
Yeah, he was going fast.
Yeah, it was beautiful to watch.
That same, like he was doing flip heel clicker, braking, making the corner, and then when Finley and Talis were doing a 360 drop. He flipped that, and he did it so many times in practice.
Yeah.
And yeah, you could see the confidence, like no hesitation, just going with speed. Like he could have gone slower to set up, but he went with a lot of momentum and just did it perfectly. And after that, one of the coolest things I've seen, so that was that step down that a lot of people were using for that last trick jump. He seat bounced it, and he did a seat bounce no footer. I don't know if you caught that. And this was really cool. Like that was, it's not necessarily as hard as doing a backflip heel clicker, but like doing that on your run, like showed a lot of confidence on the bike. I thought it was really cool.
Yeah, I like when people can add some personal fun flair to the run.
Yeah, because this is like really is like his style, you know. It was like,
yeah,
instead of doing, I don't know, like a perfect tabletop or like a no-ender, like doing this was like really, really cool. So I've really enjoyed that.
Yeah, he was definitely having his best time out there, I think. Like watching him ride, watching the line come together, talking to his team, talking to him. His vibe was definitely in a positive place this year.
Yeah. Not Talis.
I'm sorry?
Talis.
Yeah.
Talis. Well, tell us how you should pronounce Talis. I think it's his third Rampage.
Second or third?
Anyway,
yes. Yeah.
He was same, looked extremely dialed. Making the 360 drop looks like the straight airs now.
He's so smooth out there.
Yeah.
Like his time will come for sure. Like that kid has so much more to offer. The confidence he rides with now, with not having the same amount of experience as a lot of those other guys, it's incredible. And he's definitely going to have a breakthrough year that really puts him in his place.
Yeah. Yeah, it's really complete, really dialed. And it makes it look so easy. Then the only thing that you could wonder is like, what if he was to build the jumps even bigger? Because when you make a 360 of, 3-story building look that smooth, you can only imagine what if it was 4-story tall. So yeah, I look forward to see what he does in the future. What should we talk about? Bienvenido. So on the other side of the mountain, unfortunately, Bienvenido first run at a mechanical. So he basically snapped his bike in half.
Literally snapped his bike.
And the sad part is that I think he did the same in 2019 at Rampage, on his first Rampage ever. He did a front flip of the first drop, came a bit short, snapped the head tube. So it's his second time on his first run on a Rampage final, breaking a bike. And yeah, that was... Well, fortunately, he did not get hurt.
Yeah.
Because when the bike snaps like this and, you see the crash on TV, it's brutal.
It's terrible.
He went up, he had a spare bike like everyone else. Like this, even if you don't take a big crash, if your bike falls off a cliff, you need a spare bike over there. So he had a spare bike, and unfortunately on his second run, he's got a pants issue. Did you see that?
I don't remember the pants issue.
Yeah, I think he tore his pants and he did a 360 drop, and just before he adjusted his pants, and I assume it kind of threw him off and
he fell into the bank there.
Fell into the bank, which was a bummer. But yeah, Benvey is incredibly dialed on his bike. He's super strong. He can overshoot landings, no problem. As long as the bike doesn't break, he will hold on to it. And I look forward to see what he does next year.
Absolutely.
So now on the same side of the mountain, pretty similar line, Boggs.
Mm-hmm.
Always does well at Rampage, always rides super well. He lives out there, hits those drops pretty much for breakfast and lunch and dinner.
He's really matured at Rampage. Like, he knows exactly what he wants to do. He gets out there. There's no BS. He goes and ticks off his moves and then starts to trick them up. And he's a favorite to watch. Very sweet guy, very focused. His process is very cool. And yeah, he'll be at the top one day. Like, the guy's got so much potential.
His start, he had a drop. The landing at the start was tiny, like a bike length. Drop was big. Ton of exposure on the left, ton of exposure on the right. But then it was a continuous downhill.
Yeah.
So you had to really be confident that you were going to be able to slow down before the next roller or the next little step down, because you're on the ridge entire time, super wind exposed.
So cool.
And I think this like scored him a good amount of points.
Absolutely.
Then he rode everything like really well. 360 drop at the bottom was perfect.
He always rides great out there. He's just a pleasure to watch. He's so smooth on his bike and very accurate. Just a genuinely good kid too.
Yeah. Luke Whitlock.
Yeah.
So had a crash on his first run. He did a 360 drop. I think landed rear wheel a little bit. Front wheel a bit too high and got kicked into the berm.
That's right.
He was gonna so he had like basically a connector drop onto the same drop as what Thomas Lemoine did. And I don't know if he was gonna flat flip it or if he was gonna do another 360. But regardless, really, really cool line at the top. He had like a fairly big double drop that was like rider's left of the mountain. And so I felt like maybe TV didn't really do justice, but when you stand next to it, it's big and committed, which was really cool.
It's such a bummer when it comes to the TV, man. Like, people don't understand that you actually need to go see this terrain to understand how gnarly these lines are. And you can say it again and again, but it's just a fact of the matter.
Yeah.
So.
I mean, it's the same with the World Cup track. You look on TV, what looks like little steps like this are actually like this big. But I felt like hiking up the mountain up and down for a few days. Then the TV did a good job showing the action, but to truly appreciate it, you need to be able to first walk it to actually measure the size. Because what you see on TV is much smaller than what it actually is. So now, as we're talking about this line, we've got Aiden, which actually won the event with a line that, was very exposed and committed at the top. He had a double drop, so not a single drop where you brake and make it to the landing. Literally,
he jumped out of the start gate.
And that was really cool.
Yeah. That's not been done since Seminuk and TVS like caveman off the other venue.
Yeah.
And to see it like that double drop literally off the gate. They had to move a decorative rope so he could do this line.
Could do it, yeah.
And it was there. Like, it all made sense in my head when I looked at it. I was just like, yeah, he's going to grease this.
Yeah,
But stopping after the second drop, I was just like, we'll see.
Yeah, because this zone after that, it's like really steep, and he's got the compression, he's got like a bunch of roller, but ton of exposure. And doing the double drop is one thing, but having the confidence of doing the double drop while being able to slow down for after.
Exactly.
So that's why like all those lines score so much at the top of the mountain, because the exposure is so much greater than at the bottom where you get to the road. His first run, he crashes doing a flip, going back onto the ridge. I think it was like a flip or a flat spin, but basically just missed the landing pretty much, which was a bummer. But then went back and obviously landed it since he won.
Yeah, he spun a earlier jump as opposed to the jump that he crashed on.
And he did a knack-knack.
That's right. Like a massively whipped out beauty of a knack-knack.
Yeah.
Then right into that little nose press pad. Then into his big flat drop flip, which was super cool. It's kind of like old school Zink flat drop flip, like a manual loop out.
Yeah, like he pulled so early. It was like basically a manual.
It was sick.
And then once he saw, like, I don't know if he did it in purpose to pull this early.
Yeah.
But it felt like he pulled really early, hold on the manual, waited to get close to the edge, and then threw himself on the bike, which was crazy.
It was sick.
Now that makes me wonder, could he actually do a manual like 15 meters early, hold on the manual and do the same move?
Didn't B do that in one of his movies?
Brandon Semenuk did.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah,
but I haven't seen anyone doing it since. Maybe Tom Van Steenbergen.
Yeah.
Tom would have done it, but in a boner log, not in a flat drop.
Yeah, he did the nose press to backflip off the boner log.
Yeah, and hack set OGs on a boner log. On his moto did it, but obviously on a moto you got the acceleration of the motor. Bike is heavier, but you got also 60 horsepower to help you to turn around. But no, I thought that was epic. That was really cool.
It was sick.
Okay, who are we missing? I think Dylan Stark. Dylan Stark unfortunately had a crash just before his big drop.
Yeah, I feel like he came in kind of injured and then it didn't help. He was complaining about his ankles when he was doing the big drop.
Yeah, that landing seemed like really rough. Like even when he was landing like on the sweet spot, it was still a big impact.
Yeah, it was the same one Zink was doing.
Yeah, just far right of that.
The exact same drop.
Same height, yeah. But I think Zink was like had to travel more distance, so therefore the impact was a bit smoother, and Stark had less speed, so it was like falling down a bit harder perhaps on the landing. To be honest, standing up on the takeoff, I would have anticipated that if he did 360 it would be a really, really violent impact. He would have to land absolutely perfect to make it. Just because seeing him in practice jumping straight, like the impact was super gnarly. So
yeah, often it's smoother when you flip or 3-0 though, because you're just committed to the move and you're not kind of preparing your body for this hard landing when you're straight dropping and watching the landing come. Like when you spin it, you're kind of just engaged in what you're doing, and often you land smoother than you would if you just straight aired it.
I wish I could add something to it, but I have no experience whatsoever going upside down or sideways on a bike. Tom van Steenbergen. We'll talk a little bit about his start that earned him a lot of points. We did a caveman, basically standing up, through the bike in the air, land on the bike on like a tiny landing with a ton of exposure, and then went on, with his usual 360s, backflip, front flip, everything.
Did all the things. I thought he was going to tuck no hand that flip drop.
Yeah.
I can't remember if he did that or not. I don't think he did.
I don't think he did it in practice, but I've seen him.
Yeah.
I've seen him flipping it and getting the bars close to his chest.
Right.
Getting ready to do it.
He's trying.
But he didn't do it. And I may be incorrect, but I think in his first run, he had the bar against his chest, but on the second run, you could tell it. He didn't try.
Mm-hmm.
He just did a normal flip, probably because he, was already really happy with his riding and just didn't think that it was going to be enough to beat first place. Do you think that would have scored him high enough to beat first place if he had?
I don't like to predict or think of answers like that because it didn't happen, so it's irrelevant.
What do you think for the future of Rampage or even like judge event like that? Do you think it would be good for athletes to know ahead of time what will their line will score if they ride it smooth?
Well, they usually don't know exactly what their lines are till like a day or two beforehand.
Yes, but before they actually drop in for a final run, to know what their bear line will be scored as.
I think they have a good understanding of what the value is based off of what they're building.
Okay. Do you think it would be helpful, for example, if someone like Tom at the start was like, okay, your first run, you did everything right, but you didn't do a flip no-hander. Your score was, let's say, 85. If you did add a no-hander to your backflip, to your flip drop, then that will bump you to 88 or whatever, and therefore you might be, a couple spots higher.
Again, you can't speculate on that because they need to complete the entire run to get a judge performance. Like they could get the flip tug no-hander, but he could blow a foot somewhere else.
Exactly, yeah.
So to speculate on that it's completely irrelevant.
And then obviously it depends like how well you execute, right? Because there's a difference between doing a super stylish, perfect backflip and go big versus like a flip no-hander or maybe it comes a little bit short, sketchy, and then you're like, well, is it better than a perfectly executed flip?
Yeah.
Probably not. It's harder, but it doesn't look as pretty. So interesting. Okay. So I think we've done pretty much everyone, but three riders that got injured. Shimon got Ziak. So he was actually injured coming into the event. He hurt himself in practice. He hurt his wrist.
Food poisoning, and then he crashed and hurt his wrist the first day of practice and did not touch a bike until the day before the event, where he had an insanely efficient practice. Basically went and ticked everything off and then put his bike away. And he's like, I'll just do it tomorrow.
Yeah, you could tell he was hurting. He wasn't at 100%.
He was run down.
Yeah. But still managed to 360 that top drop absolutely perfectly. Made his way down, all smooth, and then went to front flip. That big drop. And so I was basically next to the jump. I was in between the landing and the takeoff. And Rob Warner was on top. And all I can remember was Rob Warner yelling, no, 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 as soon as he took off, because he knew that he was going too slow. And yeah, he came short, landing on his wheels, but like on the knuckle, and got thrown over the bar and landed like on his back on the side of the landing. And that was, I didn't think he was going to be able to stand up like he did.
He got away with it there.
Yeah.
Yeah, he walked away more or less unscathed in comparison to other crashes we've seen with that variety.
So, and I don't want to talk too much about it, but Emil, as always, like so dialed everywhere. Like he makes Rampage look like slopestyle just because he makes it so easy, and he's able to add insane tricks to, difficult jump. And in practice, that 360 drop that he did where Simon crashed on his front flip, I'm pretty sure he did a 360 bar spin of that, or it was a X-up. But he posted a clip on Instagram, and it's filmed from far away. And I can't tell if he's doing a 360 X-up or a 360 bar spin.
I think it was a 3X up.
Okay.
We'd have to review the footage, though.
So I don't know what he was planning for his final run, but he made that look. This drop is insane.
He lands it so smooth.
He makes it look like smoother than if he was to jump straight.
Yeah, his 450 above that drop was absolute grease. Yeah. Beautiful to watch.
So he did the first run that was super impressive, and yet didn't score super high, probably because the judges were expecting a trick on that first drop, because they had seen Tommy G and Simon doing tricks of that. And on his first run, he just jumped straight. It looked like he was worried about the wind. You've got an 8-minute window before you drop in, and it took a lot of time to drop in. And he was definitely looking at that. I think he probably didn't do it because of the wind and was like, I'm going to play it safe. But for the second run, went and attempted not even a tail whip, but an oppo tail whip, which, I can't do a tail whip, obviously. And I don't think people realize like what it would be to do a tail whip on a drop. Now, an oppo tail whip, and now on a drop that's got 200 feet of exposure left and right. That
was wild.
But at the same time, he's so dialed that you expected him to make it look like nothing. And the one time he messed up at the wrong spot. And if you had told me that someone was going to crash there, I would have bet that it would be impossible to crash and stop where he did. I thought you would go all the way down to the bottom and somehow managed to stop before the last cliff.
Yeah, I think he put everything into self-arresting on that hill there, as he would have to do. And I'm really happy he did.
Because I was on the middle road watching, and when I saw it, I didn't think he was going to do a tail whip. I thought he was going to, do a 360 or something. Perhaps like a little bit easier, but for him, if he did that, it's probably because he was so confident he was going to make it.
Totally.
For him, it was probably like just doing, a one-hander in the bike park for most people.
Yeah, perhaps he went a little bit bigger than he expected to, and the impact was just a little bit greater.
Yeah. And
that was scary.
I turned my head right away as I saw him like go off the cliff, and someone yelled, he stopped. So everybody turned their head back to look. But I really thought I'd witnessed someone, passing away. His first run though was, extremely impressive, and hopefully he'll really well and, be back doing what he does best.
He will. He's an animal.
Oh yeah. And then sadly, Adolf Silva had an incredible line. He had everything on his line. I mean, the shoot at the start, same shoot as Zink, turn of speed, a crazy canyon gap that Brendan Fairclough originally built in 16, but Brendan crashed on it. So I don't think he ever made it. In his first attempt, Case lost control and went flying off the next roller. And I'm pretty sure he hurt his pretty a lot of things, but mostly his wrist, I believe. So he wasn't able to compete. And Adolf did it many times in practice. I know he crashed on it, but was somehow fine. His first run, he was running really well, like the Superman extension after the shoot.
Yeah,
that was crazy. It's like you have to manage the speed so well, like you have to brake a lot, but not too much either. And he did a Superman still by overshooting, landing too flat and like it's nothing. Then went on, had a pants issue, and wasn't able to do
wardrobe malfunction.
Yes. Wasn't able to do his step down. So same step down as what Sorgi flipped back in 16, and Tom van Steenbergen front flipped it in 2021.
Is that the one that Tom front flipped?
Yeah. So Tom front flipped that in 2021, and after that he had a step down, and he backflip step down and crashed on that backflip step down, and that's where he got hurt. Anyway, and everybody's seen the video of Adolf, so we don't need to talk about it, but there is Road to Recovery Fund, so I'll put the link in the description. So if you want to support, make sure you donate. Every little bit helps. He's been getting, obviously, great support from everybody in the industry, but he's facing big challenges, so I really hope he recovers as best as possible. He definitely seems like he's on a good spirit, or at least as good as you could be in that situation. And if someone can, make the most out of the recovery, it's going to be him. So, you got anything to add?
Just wish the Silva family the best. That was probably the most horrible thing I've ever seen. And yeah, man, it's a great kid. Anything you can do to support him through his journey would be huge.
Okay, thanks everyone for watching. If you want, make sure you subscribe, leave me a like, comment, and you can watch or listen, I guess, the podcast on Spotify. See you next week. Or next week, I don't know. See you next time. I don't know about next week. Oh, thanks a lot, buddy.
Woo!